May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and nearly a quarter of people living with chronic illness suffer from depression. Given that May is also Healthy Vision Month, today we're spotlighting a chronic illness called Thyroid Eye Disease, or TED. Here to share advice on overcoming the mental toll of chronic conditions like TED is Gail Devers, world-renowned track star, three-time Olympic gold medalist, and a thyroid eye disease patient advocate. She is joined today by Dr. Gary Lelli, surgeon at Weill Cornell Medicine in New York City. Welcome, Gail, and welcome, Dr. Lelli. How are you two doing today?
We're great. How are you?
So,
Awesome.
Doctor, let's talk. What is the link between chronic conditions and mental health going on right now?
Right. Well, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so in partnership with our media sources and Horizon, we're really here to kind of highlight the fact that patients who have chronic diseases have a high propensity towards developing mental health conditions like depression. And perfect example of this is a condition that I treat called thyroid eye disease, and that Gail Devers, world-class athlete, has had to struggle past in her life and career. And so it's a great example of a chronic disease that not only has functional issues for patients to be able to see appropriately, but also the emotional toll that patients have with this condition.
Yeah. And doctor, let's talk TED. How does this develop? What are the conditions and people need to look for?
Sure. TED stands for thyroid eye disease. It's basically an autoimmune condition that causes inflammation around the eyes, which causes the eyes to bulge out, to get very dry. They may be red and irritated and painful. The vision may become blurry, and it can cause double vision. The eyes may not move together and may not line up, so patients will see two images instead of one. So those are the main things a patient's going to look out for. And it's most common in patients who have a separate autoimmune condition called Graves' disease, which causes a high thyroid level. So if you have a thyroid imbalance, then you want to be very mindful of any new eye symptoms. And last thing I would mention is just that you may just notice a change in the appearance of the eyes. They may look different. They may look asymmetric. You may notice it even just in a simple picture. And if that's the case and you have a thyroid issue, get in to see a specialist.
Very important. I want to bring in Gail because, Gail, this is something that you are a very big advocate about. And what's your advice on, of course, with people having this kind of chronic condition? What do you advise to them?
Well, for me, I've always been a writer, but I really took to writing once I was diagnosed or once I found out that I had thyroid eye disease. Now, I've known the Graves' disease. I've been living with that for more than 30 years, but I've also been living with symptoms of thyroid eye disease. And it was not until last year that I found out that they're related, but they're separate. And because there's two separate diseases, they need to be treated by two separate specialists. And so from that, I go back to how I felt during the time that I thought that all these effects that I was dealing with my eyes, the pain, the bulging, the not being able to close my eyes at nighttime, they're dry, you need, drops. I thought that was all still a part of my Graves' disease, and I had to deal with it. Had I known 30 years prior that no, if you have Graves' disease, like Dr. Lelli said, up to 50% of people who have Graves' disease may develop this thyroid eye disease, I would have paid closer attention to my eye health, which would have in turn help my mental health. I stopped driving at nighttime. I was embarrassed to tell my husband why, because the oncoming lights of cars coming at me. I was, my eyes were constantly red, and yet I have to be camera ready. Got tired of answering the questions of, do you have allergies? And so all of these take a mental toll. And with it being a chronic condition, it means it's with us for life. So I wrote. Yeah. Once I found out last year that this is what I had, I started writing a letter to Ted. It's thyroid eye disease, but I call him Ted. I wrote a Dear Ted letter letting him know that he's got to go. He cannot take control of my life anymore. I'm not going to stay in the house. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to tell people what's going on with me and why. And it was liberating. It was an empowering experience that I encourage. You ask, what can I share? Anyone who is going through or affected by thyroid eye disease, go and write your Dear Ted letters. Go to deartedletters.com, submit your letter, read mine, and let's develop this community of people sharing the same thing. And if you have Graves' disease like me, pay attention to your eye and your mental health, knowing that you could develop this. And if you're at risk, you need to get the right care team. Go in and see a doctor right away. Make an appointment.
Gail, you just said it right there. I love everything you said, and that was take back control and stop hiding it, bring it to the forefront. And I love that you have this program that people can do that, because once we start talking together about it, it gets taken care of than being pushed aside. And of course, Doctor, we thank you for all you're doing and bringing it to the forefront. So where can people find more information?
I point them right to the website that Gail just mentioned, deartedletters.com, because in addition to Gail's awesome letter and others that you can read, you can get helpful links on the disease itself and link to find a specialist in your zip code, multiple specialists if you live in a place with multiple specialists in your zip code. So that's the place.
Perfect. Dr. Gail, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Brad, thank you for having us. We appreciate you giving us this platform.
Thanks, Brad.